concept, but it becomes even more damaging if it comes about through government-sanctioned ideas of entitlement. It is the role of the government to remove barriers to work rather than to promise jobs for all. As soon as the government takes over responsibility for our economic welfare, we lose all interest in helping as individuals. This is hardly surprising, as once we've paid taxes on everything we earn and everything we spend at a high rate, we feel that we are already doing our bit. Instead of feeling that we should help our fellow citizens, we feel that we are already helping hugely through our taxes, and we have little left to spare once the government has repatriated whatever they choose of our money. Something the media has not found out about me is that I have been a Scottish country dancer. I also am the owner of a rather large dog, which I walk regularly. Neither of these activities is something the state should take an interest in. I do not expect subsidies for myself and others who share in my interests. Neither do I wish to provide through my taxes a subsidy to others who have their own interests and hobbies.
Order.
The government has no role in my choices in general. That is, unless I or my dog or my dancing cause problems to other citizens. Any harm I cause to others is of concern to the state. For us all to make our own choices relies on the state to protect us from each other and to provide a framework for the proper interaction between us, and sanctions for those who would reduce our freedoms by doing us harm or threatening our peace. The government is the guardian of taxpayers' money, and this money is taken on the basis that it will be used wisely and equitably. The government has always struggled with providing services equally to all citizens. The catch cry of the Inland Revenue has been, "It's our job to be fair." "It's our job to be fair" should underpin all government services, not just the ones which take our money from us. It would be easier to achieve this aim if bureaucracy was kept to a minimum between the people and the people with the purse strings. If we're not getting a fair deal in government services throughout New Zealand, it ought to be very transparent who we should be taking to task. The services funded by government should be transparent and accountable. A particular challenge for the provision of health services in New Zealand is to maximise the value for money in the products and services provided, and to provide equitable access to health care. In the South Island, there is a move to have neurosurgery provided from Christchurch. This is likely to be more expensive for the government and provide a very compromised service to taxpayers from Otago and Southland. And this is before we take account of the human costs of transport and time away from work. There are also significant emotional effects on patients and their families of healthcare at a distance. It is not just the cost to the government of the provision of care, it is also the cost to citizens and their families. A government getting the best value from our taxpayers' money and providing equitable services would keep neurological services in Dunedin. We can increase the likelihood of better value for our health dollar by tweaking the health system and having the government directly buying services which it requires from whoever provides the best value for money, whether public or private. But we could do even better. If each of us had our own health policy, we would give responsibility back to New Zealanders so they would be able to choose to get health provided by whomever we wish and however we wish. Education is another example of a state-funded service where we could increase the chance of achieving value for money and a more responsible provision of service. A scholarship for each child will allow a choice of school for each parent, giving parents the chance to help shape the education of their children. The government only has stewardship of our money on the basis that, 1, they take only what they need to protect us and to provide for the services for which they have a mandate. 2, that the best possible use is made of every dollar spent, and 3, that the spending is fair to all New Zealanders. I see my job in this House to support the government in these endeavours and to work towards freedom and responsibility for the people, lower tax and more equitable use of our taxpayer-provided resources. I stand with my ACT Party colleagues in support of less tax and less government. And finally, there may be those in this House who imagine that myself and my ACT Party colleagues will be easy to oust at the next election. I live in a house which belonged to my parents and my great-aunt before me. I have lived in this house almost all my life. I will not be easily moved from either of these houses. Thank you.
Call Government Order of the Day number 1.